Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to some Toronto Raptors news, and that's right, Myles Turner has officially made a trade request. We broke down a video yesterday about, the potential looking at a Sabonis or Turner after the Pacers essentially said that they wanted a rebuild, but officially today we had Myles Turner call for a trade request as well. He liked a post regards to him joining the Toronto Raptors, more of as a meme. He liked the meme, he found it funny, but we're going to dive into all of it. But we'll start with his official trade request, seeing where his head is at, and we'll talk about everything in this podcast, what the Raptors could potentially do to get him, if it's smart to get him, because I know people want to flame my takes on this whole situation, so I've come ready to respond to them. But first, we'll break down what he essentially said, and this is his quote in regards to the situation with the Pacers. "It's clear that I'm not valued as anything more than a glorified role player here, and I want something more opportunity. I'm not valued as more than a rotational role player, and I hold myself in a higher regard." So that's Myles Turner's quote in regards to his situation there in Philadelphia, in Indiana. And then, people, obviously Raptors fans, they want a true center on this roster. And someone threw out a little Photoshop, not one of my Photoshops, but someone else's. Usually people steal my Photoshops out there. And someone, just depressed Nets fan, responded that he's going to become Kilometers Turner because his name is Myles. And then, I'm not going to lie, it was pretty funny. That's what Myles Turner said responding to that post. So a lot of people have kept their eye on him responding to a post after requesting a trade, responding to a post, liking it, calling it funny, right? Specifically a joke about Myles Kilometers, being in Toronto. Is it on his radar? We aren't going to read too much into that, but, definitely something to talk about. Definitely makes the Raptors fans a little bit more excited that he's not completely steered away from going to Toronto, that he's willing to respond to jokes about it. And we also got a report from Josh Bloomberg saying that the Torontos have had their eyes on both of Indiana's bigs for years, according to a league source, and that's it's Josh Bloomberg and Turner in particular. That's how this sort of post, this is how this quote ended from Josh Bloomberg. So the Toronto Raptors certainly are connected to Myles Turner in this regard, even if it's loose connections, and it's made Raptors fans wonder, could we acquire Myles Turner? And now, specifically for people that don't know much about him, he's a 6'11 center, elite shot blocker, 13 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks per game, as I mentioned, shooting remarkably well from the three-point line this year, and shooting efficient from around the rim. Not the greatest of percentages, 53% for a big guy, but still a solid finisher around the rim. And on paper, he is exactly what the Toronto Raptors need. He is a guy that's long, can block shots. He's above 6'9", so he can play a true center position. He's not that old. He's about 25, about to turn 26. So he fits sort of the timeline, a little bit older than our younger core, more in the likes of a Siakam, Fred. Right smack dab in the middle of those ages when it comes to those guys. So a guy that kind of fits the timeline. He's young, and he wants a trade. So this could be an interesting fit. Now, whether or not the Raptors should do it, this is where the debates have been going crazy. Now, I said in our last video, firstly, I want to address a couple comments. I said Pascal Siakam is an elite defender, right? Above average. I think I'm staying by that. Riker was questioning about the fit defensively with Sabonis and Pascal, and I think that's wild to bring up because he is an above average defender. That's Pascal Siakam's situation. So I just wanted to address that one point before I get into my second point about Myles Turner acquiring him, because I've seen a lot of people value Myles Turner at different levels. The potential trades that are going on the internet, Twitter, left, right, and center have people just completely at odds with each other. No one can agree on what this guy's value is, and there was a post thrown into the Toronto Raptors Reddit today that said Myles Turner, Jeremy Lamb for Goran Dragic, Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, Malachi Flynn, and a 2023 first-round pick. Now, I basically said on the previous video that I'd be hesitant in giving up Precious Achiuwa for Myles Turner, and people are roast. I could take the roast. I don't mind if you're disagreeing. I get why you disagree, because you look at the stats. You bring up Precious Achiuwa stats. 8 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, not the greatest. And then, the efficiency, 40% from the field, 39% from the field is not great for a big man. The touch, as 1-800-LUNATIC always says, is poor. And then 27% from the three-point line, not there. Also 6'8", playing the center position. So people are like, Ben, why would you even think about not trading? Be hesitant with Precious Achiuwa being in a trade, all that sort of stuff. You're crazy. I wouldn't think about it. However, you got to take a few things into consideration, because for every positive I said about Myles Turner, and the fact that I would like him on this roster, do not get me wrong, I would like a Myles Turner on this team. But I think, especially Raptors fans, especially comparing what Raptors fans are proposing for trades, they're saying Gary and a first would have to be in a trade. Get out of here with that, right? I'm not doing that if I'm a Toronto Raptors fan, but, his value, he's being overrated by Raptors fans because he is an elite shot blocker, as I said. Right? Elite at being around the rim and blocking shots. But everything else, he is average. He is an average center in the NBA. A true starting center, but average. Now, you could make the argument that he's playing out of position, and that's factoring into the fact that his potential is being limited. And I could buy that argument. If you say that you bring him in our system, playing the center spot, he can get more out of him, then I'm willing to agree with more of the people that are hyping up Myles Turner. However, currently what he's produced for the Indiana Pacers is, he's an average rebounder for his height at 6'11", right? He's in the paint. He's sizable, so he can kind of box out, but he's not elite. Like Precious Achiuwa at 6'8" averages more rebounds per game than him and less minutes per game, so that's something there. I know Sabonis is down there in the block as well, getting rebounds, so that's something you have to factor in. But if you look at Pacers Reddit, you watch the game, from the eye test, he's not out there being a crazy hustler. He's not an elite athlete by any means. He's not going to be a guy that's, sprinting down the court. He's mobile, right? Being able to switch 1 through 5, right? That we've seen the Toronto Raptors run these defensive schemes. And this isn't to trash on his defense, because the Toronto Raptors could certainly use a guy that blocks shots. And, that's certainly an effective position, right? Marc Gasol wasn't the quickest of feet, but Myles Turner doesn't have that same Marc Gasol sort of awareness and stuff. He's a great shot blocker, as I've said consistently, but he will get burned at times in the pick and roll, right? He's not that mobile guy, and we saw how these shot blockers, even the best in the league, Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower, multi-time defensive player of the year, got exposed in the playoffs just because of the fact if you're not that crazy mobile of a guy, right? Teams run that 5-out, swing the ball around the court. Those corner threes are going to be open left, right, and center. Now, the Toronto Raptors, I can't make the argument that have been perfect in that because our schemes just currently aren't being figured out by young guys. So that's tough, right? Maybe if you're giving it up, you may as well have a strong rim protector down in the lane. But it's definitely something to take into consideration because he's going to be a guy, if you trade for him, you likely have to give up a bunch of assets. Can he play at the end of games, right? Something to factor in. So there's that consideration to be had. And he's not a great passer, and he's a very inconsistent scorer. Now, some nights, he's looking really nice. The touch is there. He's making decent moves, and the three-point shot's elite. As you saw, 40% from the three-point line this season is remarkably efficient. However, Pacers fans, doing some research, he is not usually that consistent from three. Average, last season he averaged 33% from the three-point line. He usually hovers around 33 to 35. He had one season a few years ago where he's 40, not shooting the most. However, this season at 40% on 4 attempts per game is a solid sample size, so we'll see if that continues, if that maintains. But everything I've seen, he's also an inconsistent player. So these are all considerations that you have to factor in when you're looking to make a trade. And that's why I wouldn't give up a core guy for a Myles Turner. And it depends on how you value I've been leading the bandwagon on the Precious propaganda. Oh my goodness, everything is going to be playing here, but we'll see what images are popping up. Okay, all the animations are gone. Right, I've been on the Precious propaganda bandwagon, and I consider him a part of our young core. Right, I'd be willing to give up Flynn, I'd be willing to give up Boucher, I'd be willing to give up a first. I think that value's there, but adding Precious on top of it, for everything I mentioned, right? Precious isn't the level close. Maybe the stats aren't that far off, but he's not the level player Myles Turner right now. But he's 3 years younger. He's more athletic. He's already a better rebounder at this point, and he kind of fits what the Toronto Raptors want to do. A more mobile big that can still block shots, but can guard around the three-point line, can guard in the pick and roll. Once he figures out the defensive schemes, Precious, I'm not saying he's a better player. I'm not saying he'd be better for the team than Myles Turner right now, but he is more fitting what the Toronto Raptors are looking to do. So just wanted to make those points. Now, I know that this is, watching the team, the value of those two guys, Myles Turner is certainly higher value, but you have to look at take all these things into consideration when you're building a team, when you're looking at things that happen. Now, you could counter and say, well, we have a bunch of guys that can do similar stuff to Precious, so, maybe just getting a big man that can actually block shots and help, right? It'd be huge. It'd be huge for the team this season, but as I said, big centers, right? They take a few years to develop, right? Or big men in the NBA. And Precious, he's dripping, he's oozing in potential, right? And to give up on him this early, right, when you have an opportunity to sort of develop him, grow the seeds for a phenomenal basketball player are there for Precious, right? The touches has to come around. The form, the jump shot looks, the form looks clean. He's been hitting pull-ups. He's streaky with it at times, right? Especially in the preseason, he was hitting them hot and then cooled off and doesn't really take much, but I don't know. I'm high on Precious. I'm ready to get flamed. I'm ready to get flamed in the comment section. I'm excited to see what people have to say because I know this is controversial and Riker couldn't be on this podcast tonight, but we'd have a fun go at her. But this is it's always fun discussing trades, but I think Toronto Raptors fans are overvaluing what we'd have to necessarily give up. Now, I guess I'll end it off. Will the Toronto Raptors end up making this trade? Probably not, because firstly, I don't see Masai Ujiri making a specific offer. I don't think that's just... I don't see us giving up a bunch of young players as a team that's trying to develop for Myles Turner. So that's the case. And if we do the offer that I'd like to see, Dragic, Boucher, and a pick, which a first-round pick for Myles Turner is going to be a nice return, I don't think that competes with other teams that are in the mix. Right, I've seen potential packages that have been thrown out there, and Kuminga and Wiseman, I think, blows us out of the water. But I don't know if the Warriors would specifically do that. Actually, that was a trade I saw for Sabonis. But if they brought in one of those guys, I think that's a more exciting young player than a Raptors first round pick. So I don't know. Maybe that was a deal I saw specifically for Sabonis. But the Warriors are in the mix looking for one of those big men. The Charlotte Hornets are a team that people have brought up. And I saw Bouknight, Mason Plumlee, and a scrub. Right? That's the level of offers that are being thrown out there specifically for Turner. And a pick from the Charlotte Hornets. So, that's sort of similar level to the Dragic Boucher one here. And I'm mixing them up. I did a Twitter through, seeing what people are saying. A lot of them are for Sabonis, a lot of them are for Turner. But you don't want to overvalue it. As I am a homer, Raptors fans, you're all homers to your own team. I especially with Precious Achiuwa, I'm high on him. I'm on Precious Island, just like I was on Norm Island for all those years, and it paid off for Norman Powell. Right? Hopefully, it pays off now for Precious Achiuwa, but I don't know. I don't think I don't think you have to give crazy amounts up for Myles Turner. I think his trade value is being overvalued by fans just because, in theory, on paper, he's a phenomenal player. And I would be excited to bring him in. I would be excited to have a true shot blocker, but I like this Toronto Raptors team. I like the young core. We got to be patient with the guys. Anyways, that's enough of me rambling. Enough of me there. I have 13 minutes I've been rambling on this. You guys are the best for making this far. Check out the Instagram, the Twitter, the TikTok, all that cool stuff. Check out the channel membership, the merch. I got the old OGs hoodie on there. We got the cleaner ones down below. But guys, I'm all here for the roast. I can take the heat if you disagree with the Myles Turner take. I know a lot of people want him, are willing to give up Gary for him, which I think is just wild. But let me know what you guys think. Is he overrated? Am I being crazy? Let me know in the comment section below. Anyways, I'm signing off. Cheers.